Hello, Friday fam. This is Nazareth on the left here, and you've got
EOD Janks, pinkies up, tees up.
and for one more. How are y'all doing?
Doing pretty good tonight. Naz, how are you doing tonight?
Doing all right. Star Wars has been kind of a little bit interesting this last few weeks. It's made it kind of difficult to just dive in with a whole lot of enthusiasm, and I don't think I'm the only one that's been feeling like that.
No, it's definitely been a grind, and one that I'm not upset that I missed out a lot on for these mall. Now, I am upset I didn't get a lot of cat shards, but I want to make up for it a little bit this time.
Seems like the shards, at least you can whale or pull them out in the store as we go coming into this next phase when they go and get shifted off. So, I mean, 600 crystals for 5.
I'm praying for Galactic Chase. That ought to be good. So, if they do the same thing they did with the Razor Crest, I ought to be all right. Between the 20, if I get, at least top 4 box, and then however many I can pull out if I can make it all the way into Sector 5, which now that I have that shiny new green lightsaber, we should be all right.
Where is it? Where is it? So yeah, that being said, Conquest is a dumpster fire as far as I'm concerned, because it's the last 2 runs. Part of the reason why I haven't been really up for a whole lot of videos is just because I've been just going 24/7 trying to get that stuff finished and off my plate. I know I finished with a few days left, but by that point I'm just want to do anything else but.
Yeah, it's been a grind for everybody, I think, and from what I understand, hearing, watching a few other content creators, Crumb has put back that they need to dial it back a bit. So we can probably expect another month and a half leeway between now and the next run.
So when they say that, they just mean they're going to make it harder, right? Because that's every time that I've turned around, they've tried to dial up the difficulty. I mean, for good lord, we used to have weak point. That was the one shiny disc thing that we had going the last run. This time they go and even nerf that in half. I'm like, really? Was it so easy that everybody could get through it? I mean, I was talking to people on the guild and they're saying, yeah, box 4 maybe.
I kept coming across before the mall junction. I would always get a purple somewhere in 3. Sector 3, there would be a purple, and that would help substantially through 4 and 5, but I haven't even finished 3.
Well, I've spent my crystal. I got through Sector 5, and now I'm going back and doing all the wonderful parts of cleaning up, which is sometimes just an RNG fest that you just burn crystal to try to get through. I haven't made any videos this time around to try to explain it because I want to punch the camera at times. I got to be honest.
I get it. And speaking of which, pardon the technical difficulties we just had, but I quick fingered it and we got it figured out.
Good to hear. And that being said,
I just realized how that came out.
So anyway,
sorry YouTube.
I'm sure they'll forgive you on that. So
yeah, probably.
Okay, now we've got Maul, and we're finishing off the last run on Maul, and I don't want to talk anymore about Conquest other than the fact who's going to be the replacement for the next run. Do you know? I haven't heard anything yet.
Nobody's heard anything. Arnold speculated today that it would be something in the Book of Boba.
Okay.
Which would lead me to believe probably Beskar Mando with the Spire and the Saber is my thought, or the that other female Mandalorian,
right?
I mean, or we could get Dad Bod Boba.
The way they've been playing it, I know they've said that they're not going to do it this way, where they release another Galactic Legend, and for him to be viable, you have to get the character from the Conquest. But that has been the case the last 2 for Lord Vader and for Kenobi. Not that they're not good without them, but they get that baby Jesus halo light around them when you do have them.
Yes, they do.
I doubt that they're going to release another Galactic Legend by the end of the year, right? That would be ridiculous.
That would be kind of crazy.
But at the same time, they released Relic 9, so you're going to want to have something to go and throw an obstacle that says, hey, you need a Relic 9, or else...
They're going to. It's coming. But on the other hand, the 9 packages are currently not in the store. And we've only had 2 territory wars. And in order to get that, you still need like 4 or 5, even at the top level of divisions, to be ready to go forward.
Well, so then going back to Mando and the book and all of that, if I was going to see a character come out of there, what part of me says I didn't do enough with like the Tuscans or...
Well, they've said in the past that they weren't going to complete that faction. Now, it'd be nice to see Vance Raider, the one that was wearing Boba's armor that's not Boba.
Yeah, that's where I was kind of thinking. Something to lead, and then they could go also into saying, okay, here, we've created a new raid based off of the dragon that they fought.
That would be cool.
So here's a character that's needed by doing all of these conquests and then lead up to it.
Yeah, no, that'd be really cool. But, you know, everything's subject to change.
And they're going to test it thoroughly every time too, right?
Well, you know, we're still waiting on our gear phase 1 gear break update. Yeah, that's a thing.
That is a thing.
And that would be really nice.
My gut feeling says maybe they'll throw a ship this time, though. Because they won't ship.
I think
character
you're right.
ship.
It'll either be, watch it be Punishing One for Dangar's ship, or it'll be the Mandalorian Slave One.
Or what about Aura Singh ship?
Oh, yeah. Well, see, now every time I ever saw Aura Singh, she was flying Slave One. Because she was flying it for Boba when Boba was a kid during the Clone Wars.
I don't know what the ship you're talking about. I've heard of Spitfire or whatever it's called, but...
Well, Slave One, Jango's ship.
Jango ship, okay.
Yeah, Spitfire.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, Spitfire might be it. Or how about we get a Galactic Republic version of Slave One, which is Jango piloting, which makes that, you know, Kenobi Gear 7 Jango grind not as bad.
So I've been watching a little bit of season 4 since we're talking about different characters, and that season opened up a whole bunch of boxes that I think that CG could go and pull characters from. And one that I got really interested in was General Krell. He was an awesome character. I know he's dead, but still, he was a bad I could even see that as a galactic legend if they wanted to, just the way he was playing out.
Yeah, no, he should have been unaligned force.
Or they could lead it into having him as some form of raid character as well, right? Because he was strong enough where he was wiping out clones left and right. Now, there's one faction that they haven't brought out, and I always tease about it, but after watching season 4...
You're gonna die.
You're gonna die. There we go. There's our galactic legend, Jar Jar Binks.
Let's get Jar Jar out there.
Senator Jar Jar or whatever.
Yeah, Senator Jar Jar or General Jar Jar, I think is the one we'd need. We'd need General Jar Jar, and we'd need then the captain there, boss, the Gungan boss, and
they could easily, just after watching that battle, that underwater battle, and I'm not a big fan of underwater battles because you don't get to use the terrain as much. They just kind of float and shoot each other, and I'm like, okay, good. Just flush it, whatever. But the fact that the Gungans came from Naboo to help out, and I could see a whole army of them. You could easily make different characters and factions, and it doesn't have to be Jar Jar, but it's going to be Jar Jar if you had that in there. But I could see that as a faction. It'd work out better than the Tuskens. At least they're organized.
What's interesting to know is that like all the Gungans that came to join, none of them had ever done space travel at that point.
Trying to keep my comments on that one. I know it's just nothing I can say about that without...
They were a very simple race that never left the planet of Naboo.
Was someone as sophisticated and cultured as Jar Jar? I mean, Jar Jar by itself just screams to me refinement. All right. Beat that Gungan to death. Let's move on. Another thing that they could say is they got the new stuff coming, right? Well, we talk about gear and relics and stuff, but can you imagine that maybe it's a different form of gear? Like, instead of like what we go and put in the 6 spots, you know how many times that like Luke loses his arm, or General Kenobi, or the Darth Sidious,
a character loses an arm,
or Savage or Darth Maul loses. Maybe they just have another set of gear where it's just arms and legs that you can just throw on.
That would be, well, I mean, blame it on the Wampa. You want a Wunga? About the fact that there are no Inquisitors in the game yet.
Inquisitors.
They were a faction that were run directly underneath Vader in canon. And they started under Sidious, and they were Force-sensitive individuals that weren't fully trained in the Force, but taught how to hunt down and destroy Jedi prior to 66, and then released on the world after Order 66. We see a handful of them in Rebels, and I'm quite positive, at least per Star Wars Meg, that we'll get some in the Kenobi series.
Nice.
So, I mean, that's another faction to think about. I mean, there's 7 of them from what I recall. It's just a lot of things that we can look at.
But do they lose their arms and legs so we can tie it into the gear, that new thing?
No, the only, no. I'm trying to think here.
I mean, we could get the droids and they could switch their heads around like they do with that one robot.
C-3PO?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, later on, and if you watch Bad Batch, they do it with the tactical droids too.
Yeah, there you go. Mix and match droids. You can build your own droid.
How come we don't have a tactical droid? We know Trench is in the game. We know tactical droids are in the game. I mean, there's so many characters that you run across that are actually halfway decent in territory battles. Like, why can't my mace be that good? Or my I'm gonna die?
Because he'd just die.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, I think his one ability would be he'd march out on the battlefield, and now you're just down to 4 characters. I'm gonna die. Well, I guess.
You did. You did.
Maybe he could do this as well, just after you push the button.
You have now entered the battle with with a lower amount of characters. Are you sure you want to do this?
Sadly enough, he's more useful than Cup.
Yep. Yep.
We are at 11. Do you want to go to your side at this point?
I mean, we can, as long as everybody likes and subscribes down at the bottom. Make sure Naz gets the love. Hit that little red button and
she'll appreciate it. See you on the other side.
We'll catch you on the flip side, y'all.